Hello everyone and welcome back to another math video. Today we're going to be looking at how to compare different functions. They might be in tables, they might be graphs, they might give you an equation, so similar to this problem that you see up on the screen. Just a reminder, this is the full lesson version, so we're going to go step by step with a bunch of examples. If you would like the short version, where we just cover the main ideas pretty quickly, I will link that in the description below. Before attempting this lesson, there are several things you should know already. You should know how to evaluate functions both algebraically and graphically. You should know how to calculate slope using the formula, and you should know how to write equations from slope point. Also, optionally, if you want a shortcut, you should know about rise over run. If you want refreshers on any of those topics, I will link them in the description below. All right, so here we go. They give us two functions, okay, function A and function B. And it says which statement is true, all right? And both of them are about slope, right? The slope, which one's bigger. So we should be able to look at function A, right? That's slope intercept. We should already know about that. So the slope of this is 4. Okay, and then to find the slope of function B, we're going to use that slope formula that we should already know about. So that would be 12 minus negative 18. Oh, let's clean that up a little bit. 12 minus negative 18 divided by 7 minus negative 8. This will give me 30 on the top, 15, and so the slope is 2. And so now we know that the slope of function A is bigger, right? 4 is bigger than 2. And so it would be this answer right here. All right, here's our cool clock for today, which means that it's time for you to practice what you just learned. Go ahead and pause the video and try these two problems on your own. And when you're ready, you can unpause the video and we'll check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your answers. Here is the work. You should have ended up with function A is greater than function B for the first problem. For the second problem, you should have ended up with that the slope of function A is smaller than function B. For the graph that they gave you, again, the shortcut is you could use rise over run, but if you don't use rise over run, you need to pick coordinates and just do the slope formula like we did in the previous problems. Okay. For this one, instead of asking you about slope, now they're asking about y-intercepts. So for the graph, y-intercept is where it hits the y-axis. That should be pretty straightforward. So the y-intercept, which is b, remember we use b for y-intercepts, b equals negative 5. Now to find the y-intercept for function b, we have a little bit more work to do, okay? We need to first calculate the slope. So we would get our slope formula, we would do all this, which would give us 6 over 2, which is 3. Then we need to use y equals mx plus b. We need to plug in 3 for the slope, and we need to pick an x and y. You can pick anything off the list that they gave you, anything from this table. So I'll do the first one. So we got negative 20 equals 3 parentheses. And so we're plugging in negative 6. And again, we're trying to solve for this b, so now we have negative 20 equals negative 18 plus b. Add 18 on both sides. Again, we're going through this pretty quickly because we should already know how to do this part. And we get negative 2. So the y-intercept of function A is smaller, right? Negative 5 is smaller than negative 2. And so here we go. All right, it's time to practice what you just learned. Go ahead and pause the video and try these two problems on your own. And when you're ready, you can unpause the video and we'll check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your solutions. For the first problem, your y-intercept for function A is negative 4. And your y-intercept for the graph is positive 2, which means that function B is greater than function A also. So function A is less than function B. For the second problem, for function A, we should know how to, we've been doing that in the last 3 problems. You should have gotten B equals negative 3 for the y-intercept. For function B, that's in slope-intercept form, right? So you just look at the last number, and that tells you the y-intercept. And so here, function A is greater than function B for the y-intercepts. All right, this last type of problem is asking you not about slopes, not about y-intercepts, but about y values, okay, y values. So function B is the easiest, right? When x equals 2, so when x is 2, where is the graph? The graph is at 9, right? So 2, 9. Now for function A, right, that's not on the table. And so we need to go ahead and do our process of find the slope and come up with an equation here. So for the slope, I'm going to skip through the work here since we've been doing it in all these previous problems. Okay, we should be able to get to here, right? We calculate slope, we find B. Now once you have B, you need to write your equation. So we know the slope of function A is 10 over 4x plus the y-intercept, which is 1. And now once we have this equation, now we can plug in, we want to know what happens when x equals 2, right? So we're going to change the x to a 2 times 2 plus 1, and we get, let's see, 25. So 10, 25 plus 1 is 6. And so we need to look at, we have y equals 6 for function A, and we have y equals 9 for function B. And so I would say the y value is less for function A than for function B. All right, it is time for you to practice this last type of problem. Go ahead and pause the video and try these two problems on your own. And when you're ready, you can unpause the video and we'll check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your solutions. For the first problem, for function A, at -6, it equals -8. And for function B at -6, we get y equals -1, which means that function A is less than function B. And for the last problem, a little bit easier, function A equals -1, and function B is 2. Therefore, function A is less than function B. All right, that is it for today. I hope you all have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.